Could you not just stand there like that? You're embarrassing me. That's what she said. Not in private, not in a whisper. She said it in front of 3 coworkers and her boss, with her hand wrapped around a glass of overpriced champagne and a smile that wasn't for me. I had been standing quietly 2 steps behind her, holding her coat like some unpaid assistant because I thought I was doing the polite thing. Turns out I was ruining her aesthetic. I should have walked out right then, but I didn't. I stayed. I stay because I always stay because I've convinced myself that walking away makes it real. And if I can just wait long enough, maybe she'll circle back. Maybe she'll say it was stress or wine or just a bad joke. But she didn't circle back. She turned away and kept talking, kept laughing, kept leaning in too close to the man with the tailored vest and perfect teeth who kept calling her Red. I was holding her coat. I'm not making that up. I literally stood there for 27 minutes holding her coat because she said, "Don't give it to the staff. I'll need it soon." She didn't come back for it. She never even looked back at me. The guy with the cocktails asked if I needed anything. I said, "No." I didn't want to ask where the restroom was because I didn't want to be seen. I don't know what I thought would happen. Maybe she'd finally notice I wasn't around. She didn't. So I walked out. Just walked out through the side garden gate like some poorly dressed ghost. No fight, no drama, just slipped away. 3 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A message from her. "Come back." Just that. No apology, no question mark, just those 2 words. I read it twice because I thought I'd missed something. She'd spent the night pretending I didn't exist. And now, suddenly, I was supposed to rush back. Why? Because the crowd shifted and she finally had no one left to orbit. I didn't go back, but I didn't delete the message either. I stared at it the whole way home like it was some kind of puzzle. And I kept asking myself one thing. What exactly changed in those 3 minutes I was gone? The answer? Everything. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I sat on the far end of the couch with the lights off and her comeback message still glowing on my phone screen. I kept checking to see if she'd follow up, explain, apologize, send a second text with anything resembling sincerity. Nothing. The message stayed there, floating in digital silence like bait on a hook. I didn't bite. She came home at 2:17 a.m. I heard her heels clack on the tile in the kitchen, followed by the sound of the fridge door opening, then closing again too fast. No talking, no sigh, just silence and the deliberate sound of someone trying not to wake the person they'd already left behind hours earlier. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. Not because I was angry, but because I was afraid of what I might hear if I gave her the chance to speak. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She walked past me in her robe, humming like we hadn't stood in the same room the night before, while she openly erased me in front of strangers. She poured herself coffee, added almond milk like always, then asked if I wanted toast. Toast? I asked her one question. Why did you text me to come back? She froze for a second, that tiny, involuntary pause where you see someone mentally scramble through their options. Then she said, "You left." I didn't expect that. It was rude. Rude? That word hit harder than I expected. Not sad, not worried, not even confused, just rude. Like I breached some social agreement by not standing there as her unpaid accessory. I nodded like an idiot and mumbled something like, "Okay," even though it wasn't okay. Not even close. But that wasn't the worst part. Later that day, I got a call from an unknown number. I ignored it. Then a voicemail popped up. The voice was male. Calm. Too calm. "Hey man, this is awkward. You don't know me, but I was at the party last night. I just thought you should know. Your wife wasn't exactly discreet once you left. I don't know if it's my place, but yeah, sorry." I sat there gripping my phone, feeling my heartbeat in my teeth. I played the voicemail again 3 times. I couldn't place the voice, but it was real. The kind of voice people use when they don't want to be involved, but also can't keep a secret. When she got home that evening, I asked her directly, "Did anything happen after I left?" She didn't deny it. She didn't admit it either. She said, "Why are you listening to people who don't even know us? You always overreact. This is exactly why I didn't want you at that party in the first place. You make everything about you. And there it was, the shift, the part where somehow I became the problem. It was subtle, but I recognized it. She was rewriting the entire evening as if I'd sabotaged it. She even managed to sound hurt. I swear, for a second I almost apologized to her, but I didn't. I just stood there blinking, realizing I was no longer married to the woman I used to know. Or maybe I never really knew her to begin with. And just when I thought the tension had reached its peak, she said one more thing that made my stomach twist. "You shouldn't have left so early. If you had stayed, none of this would have happened." None of what exactly? I wish I could tell you I stood my ground, that I confronted her, demanded answers, forced the truth out of her like they do in movies. But the reality was far more pathetic. I nodded like some obedient fool and went upstairs to fold laundry. That's what I do when I'm upset. I fold. I organize. I stack things neatly so at least something in my life makes sense. While I sorted socks that didn't match, she was downstairs laughing at something on her phone. Not a care in the world. Like the party, the voicemail, the accusation, none of it mattered. That night I barely slept. My brain kept replaying the same 3 words from her mouth over and over. None of this. None of what would have happened. Was it flirting, a kiss, more? The next day, I got an email at my work address. No subject line, no signature, just a photo. It was blurry, taken at night, maybe with a phone, but it was unmistakably her. My wife, Elise, sitting on the edge of a lounge chair by the pool in that red dress I helped zip up just hours earlier. Her legs crossed toward Lyle. One of his hands was on her knee. That image did something to me I still can't explain. It wasn't just the physical closeness. It was the way she was smiling. That particular smile I hadn't seen in months. The one I thought I had imagined. That smile was never for me. I didn't reply to the email. I didn't delete it either. I forwarded it to my personal inbox, then stared at it for over an hour, just absorbing it like poison under the skin. When she got home that evening, she casually asked, "What do you want for dinner?" I didn't answer. She sat on the couch with a bag of takeout and watched an episode of some Netflix show we used to love. She laughed in all the right places like she was performing the version of herself she thought I wanted to see. It was terrifying how easy it seemed for her. I asked finally, without looking at her, "Do you think I'm stupid?" The room went quiet. I could feel her eyes on me, but I didn't meet them. Couldn't. "Why would you say that?" she said carefully. "Because someone sent me a picture from the party." She didn't gasp. She didn't get defensive. She didn't even ask what picture. She just exhaled slowly and said, "People always want to ruin things when they're jealous." I turned to her then. "Was that your defense? That they're jealous?" She didn't flinch. "Qley, I was networking. That's literally my job. People take pictures at awkward angles and try to turn it into a scandal. Do you really want to be one of those paranoid husbands who ruins his marriage over hearsay?" My voice cracked. "It's not hearsay. It's you with him. His hand on you." She said nothing. For once, the silence wasn't cold. It was surgical. Then, with an eerie calm, she said, "I can't believe you're doing this. I work so hard, and you let a stranger poison you in 48 hours. Maybe if you showed up differently, if you actually knew how to act in front of people, this wouldn't even be an issue." I think something inside me quietly died in that moment. She didn't deny it. She just turned it into a character flaw. My flaw. As if my discomfort at watching her be intimate with another man was some sort of emotional immaturity. But the real twist came 20 minutes later. I was in the garage pacing, trying to calm down when her phone buzzed on the table. I wasn't trying to snoop. I just looked. The message preview read, "You didn't tell him, did you?" From a contact saved as P. I froze. My blood felt cold. I stared at that tiny preview like it had opened a trap door under my feet. Not, "Did he find out?" Not, "How did he react?" Just, "You didn't tell him, did you?" "Tell me what?" The message disappeared as she picked up her phone and walked past me like I wasn't even there. That's when I knew I wasn't paranoid. I was out of the loop on something very real, and I was running out of time. I tried not to obsess over the message. Really, I did. I told myself it could be anything. Work-related, some harmless inside joke, maybe even a friend trying to stir drama. But you can't unsee something once it clicks in your gut. That preview, you didn't tell him, did you? Wasn't the kind of message coworkers sent to each other after a normal night. I waited until she was asleep. It was almost 1 a.m., and she left her phone on the nightstand, face down, charging. She never used to sleep with her phone that far away from her. That was new. My hands were shaking when I picked it up. I felt sick doing it, like I was the one breaking trust. But when you start to feel like you're losing your grip on reality, you do what you have to do to make sure it's not all in your head. She had a passcode, same as always. Her birthday. That hadn't changed. What had changed was everything else. The contact name P wasn't a person. It was a placeholder. The full contact read PL. I opened the messages, heart hammering, expecting to see a long thread. Instead, I found nothing. Just that single message from earlier. You didn't tell him, did you? No replies, no context, just that one line. But there was something odd about it. The timestamp was a few hours before I saw the preview notification, which meant it had been deleted. She had deleted the rest of the conversation. That one line must have been too recent to vanish from the notification history. I backed out and opened her photos. Nothing. Literally nothing. It was a graveyard. No selfies, no screenshots, no videos. Either she had cleaned everything out or was storing things somewhere else. Then I checked her email. It was open in her browser. One tab still logged in. There it was. An archived message from the day after the party, sent from a private email I didn't recognize. No subject line, just a PDF attachment. My pulse kicked up. I opened it and, I swear, I stopped breathing. It was an invoice from a private event planning service. It listed catering for two, a premium bottle of wine, a private driver, and a lakefront suite rental for the same night of the party. After the guests had left, the bill was over $1,200, paid in full. Under the guest name section, there was only one name listed, E. Holland. That's her name. My wife. No second name, but also no mention of me. My hands felt numb. I took a screenshot with my own phone just in case. I knew I couldn't confront her with it. Not yet. If I came at her too soon, she'd twist it again like she always did. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I emailed myself everything. Screenshots, the invoice, the text preview. Then I created a new folder in my Google Drive and titled it, If I Disappear. Dramatic, maybe, but when you feel like you're living in someone else's script, paranoia starts to look a lot like preparation. The next morning, I didn't bring it up. She kissed me on the cheek, told me she'd be out late again. Client meeting might run long. That was her exact phrase. I just nodded and waited. I didn't know where she was going that night, but I was done wondering. So I followed her. She left the house at 6:42 p.m., told me she had a strategy dinner with 2 campaign consultants, and that she'd probably be home after 10 o'clock. She wore a slate gray jacket and heels I hadn't seen before. I stood in the hallway pretending to type something into my phone while she adjusted her earrings in the mirror. Then she kissed the air near my face like someone greeting a colleague and walked out. I gave her a 10-minute head start, then slipped out the side door, keys in hand. I parked a few houses down so she wouldn't spot my car in her mirrors. Not that she was checking. Her taillights were easy to follow for the first stretch. Then we hit the highway. That's when I started second-guessing everything. What was I doing? Was I really that guy now? The stalker husband, the bitter one with suspicions and screenshots, but no proof. I told myself I could still turn back. But I didn't. I stayed a few car lengths behind as she took an unfamiliar exit, one that curved down into the older part of town, the part near the converted mills and glassfront art studios that get rented out for after-hours events. At one point, she pulled over. I nearly panicked, but she didn't stop for me. She pulled up to a side entrance of what looked like a repurposed textile building. No lights, no signage, just a long brick wall and one metal door. She got out, glanced at her phone, then walked in without knocking. The door shut behind her. I waited. 10 minutes passed, then 20. I parked around the corner and walked over, sticking close to the buildings. From a distance, I spotted a small rear window partially covered by blinds. I could see just enough. It was a lounge area, dim lighting, a bottle of something on the table, and Elise, my wife, was sitting on a leather couch with her legs crossed, laughing. Not polite laughter, warm laughter, the kind you save for someone who makes you feel alive. Then he walked into view. It wasn't Lyle. It was someone else. A man I didn't recognize. Younger, dressed like someone who owns real estate and never needs to wear a tie. He leaned down, said something close to her ear, and she leaned in. Not once did she look uncomfortable. Not once did she reach for her phone. And then she kissed him. I stepped back from the window so fast I almost tripped over a trash bin. My ears rang. My chest felt hollow, like all the oxygen had been punched out of me. I wanted to scream, or run in there, or disappear. Instead, I walked back to my car in complete silence. On the drive home, I didn't cry, not because I wasn't breaking, but because the numbness was louder than grief. I remember thinking, so, this is it. This is what she was hiding. Not Lyle, not one stupid night. Something deeper, something ongoing. She didn't come home that night. At 11:41 p.m., she sent a text, "Late night. Might crash at Tess's." I didn't reply. I stared at it and felt something snap inside me. Not violently, just quietly. The kind of break that doesn't make noise but never really heals. I opened the "If I Disappear" folder and I added another entry. She wasn't with her boss. She was with someone else and she kissed him like she never kissed me. I didn't know who the man was, but I was going to find out. I didn't sleep, not even for a second. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her hand on that man's knee. Her laugh, the way she tilted her head like she was comfortable, like she'd done it before. There wasn't a trace of guilt in her body language. Not hesitation, not nervousness, just familiarity. At 7:13 a.m., she walked in through the front door. No explanation, no warning. She dropped her bag on the table and started making coffee like she hadn't disappeared for 14 hours. I watched her from the hallway. She saw me and said, "Did you feed the cats?" That was it. Not even a hint of tension. Like the night before didn't exist. I asked her straight up, "Were you with him again?" She didn't ask who I meant. She just sighed and turned away like I'd said something exhausting. "Qley, you've got to stop. You're spiraling." That word again. Spiraling. As if I were the unstable one. As if the only problem here was my reaction, not her actions. She said she had a busy day. Left her mug half full. Walked out the door by 8 a.m. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I didn't know his name. I didn't know where he lived, what he did, or how they met. But something in me had shifted. I couldn't sit still anymore. So I took a risk. I went back to the building from the night before, this time in daylight. I parked across the street and waited. People came and went. Mostly quiet types. Guys with laptops, women with notebooks, a couple of photographers. I think it looked like some kind of co-working space, but I didn't go in. I just sat there. At 12:47 p.m., I saw him, the man from the night before. Same jacket, sunglasses now. Confidence dripped. He walked out the door holding a to-go coffee cup and started down the sidewalk. I didn't follow him. Not yet. I just watched him disappear down the block. But then something strange happened. A man approached my window. Mid-30s. Hoodie, messenger bag, earbuds around his neck. He knocked once and leaned down like he'd been waiting for me. "You looking for Elisa's guy?" he asked. I froze. He looked around, then added, "Thought so. You're not the first." Then he walked away. Didn't explain, didn't stop, just kept going like he dropped a grenade and vanished before it exploded. I sat there, heart racing, unsure if I just imagined the whole thing. But I knew one thing now for sure. There was more than one lie, and I wasn't the only one she'd been lying to. I didn't go home that night. I parked in a strip mall lot 2 neighborhoods away and sat in the car with the engine off for almost 3 hours. My phone buzzed twice. One from Elise asking if I was picking up cat litter, and another from a friend I hadn't spoken to in months. I didn't answer either. All I could think about was what that man said outside the co-working building. "You're not the first." It wasn't just the words. It was the way he said them. Calm. Like he was used to saying it. At some point, I opened the voice recorder app on my phone and just started talking out loud. Not because I thought I'd use it for anything, but because I didn't trust my own memory anymore. I kept repeating the words, "You're not the first," like it might eventually make sense. Didn't. When I finally drove home, the house was dark. Elise was asleep or pretending to be. I didn't check. I went straight to the laundry room, found the shoebox of old receipts and notes we never threw out, and started digging. I don't know what I was looking for. Maybe a name, a number, something handwritten I hadn't noticed before. What I found was a birthday card from 2 years ago. Not from me. It wasn't signed, but the message inside was short and strange. Some people only feel alive when they're living 2 lives. That handwriting wasn't mine, and I was certain it wasn't from anyone in her family. I snapped a photo of it and dropped the card back in the box. That line stuck in my brain like a nail. Living 2 lives. Had she been doing this for years? Had I been the quiet background character while the real story was happening somewhere else? At breakfast the next morning, I didn't mention it. She was in a rush again. Phone calls, lipstick, high heels. The same energy she always had when she was going somewhere she didn't want questions asked about. But just before she left, she said something new. "I know you've been acting weird, Qley. If you're doing something behind my back, just be honest." I almost choked. Me? I didn't respond. Couldn't. She smiled like she just won some invisible point and walked out the door. That's when I realized she was rewriting the story in real time. And she didn't need me to believe it. She just needed me too exhausted to fight it. But I wasn't tired anymore. I was ready. I never confronted her. Not the way people expect. There was no dramatic monologue. No phone slammed on the counter. No suitcase packed in rage. I realized I didn't need a confession. I didn't even need the truth. I already knew enough. It was in the pauses, the calculated kindness, the way her stories always ended just before the part one actually needed to hear. Every time she leaned in to kiss me but never really touched me. Every time she said, "You're being too sensitive." When I caught her in a contradiction. I had been collecting pieces for months, and now the puzzle was finished. And honestly, I didn't want to look at it anymore. 2 days after she accused me of acting suspicious, I left work at lunch and met with a lawyer, a quiet, efficient woman named Myra. I told her I didn't want drama. I just wanted out. No assets to fight over, no children to protect. Just a clean split and a house full of memories I didn't want to dust anymore. I moved out 2 weeks later. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't even ask where I was going. She just stood in the doorway and said, "I guess this is how you want it." And for the first time, I didn't try to explain myself. I just nodded and walked. I ended up renting a small place near the river. Nothing fancy. The fridge hums too loudly, and the bathroom door sticks. But it's mine. I started jogging again. I stopped drinking so much coffee. I even signed up for a photography course at the community center. Something I always said I'd do but never had time for. Some nights I still think about that message. Come back. I don't know what she meant by it. Maybe she panicked. Maybe she really did want me there. But it doesn't matter anymore. Because the truth is, I came back. Just not to her. I came back to myself. And I'm not going anywhere.